To me, it's like a game or a puzzle trying to uncover the meanings. Like when I was little, they had those cryptic puzzles in the lids of beer bottles, and they were symbols. They would be pictures with a plus sign, and you would have to sound out the images to say words that were really other words. And I loved those puzzles. I thought they were just the coolest thing because you were translating. In fact, I always thought if I wasn't doing this, I would have loved to be someone who uncodes the meanings of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And it is like translating a foreign language. It's coming up with what are these symbols, what do they translate to, and how can I apply that to my waking life?
Mm-hmm. Now, you use a number of different types of methods to help you with your detective work. And one of them is universal themes. I'm always so fascinated by universal themes because there are so many people in the dream industry, whether they're doing dream work as far as writing books, or if they're researching, or they're just interpreting their own dreams or other people's dreams. They say that there are no universal themes. I personally think there are. I'd love to get your take on that.
Oh, I totally agree with you. There are a number of dreams that people have all over the world that often mean the same thing for most people. Like in most cultures, we wear clothes, and so dreaming of being naked in public usually happens when we're feeling vulnerable or exposed. But that said, it still is important to check in with the dreamer. How did you in particular feel in that dream? Like if somebody didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I've been exposed, and they thought, hey, you know what? I'm not afraid to show my true self, and they were okay with walking around naked in the dream, assuming that's not the norm in their culture, then that might come up at a time when they're actually not feeling afraid to reveal their true identity. So that's where it's still important to look at the individual meaning, but it can really help because dreams are so complex and there's so many of them and so many variations, and some of them are completely unique to the dreamer, where you probably never hear anyone else have a dream like that again. But when you can hit a universal theme like flying, falling, being naked in public, teeth falling out, it gives us a really good place to start to check in with the dreamer. Here's what it often means. Does this fit for you? Or sometimes you don't have a lot of time, like these call-in radio shows. If we get a caller, we might have a few minutes with them. So we don't necessarily have an hour to say, okay, pretend you are the flower in the dream. What do you have to say? That can take a while to really get in the mood and get the person to explore all the possibilities. But I do agree with you. There are definitely universal themes that repeat for all different people all over the world.
And that's where getting into a dream group, I think, is really helpful, because if you belong to a dream group and everybody gets together, once a week or once every other week, you can take that time to really delve into those dreams, and that's always such fun, and it's enlightening. You suddenly discover things about yourself that you might not have even known. Somebody else can see something in your dream and give you their perspective on it that you might not have, found out on your own.
Yes, absolutely. I love dream groups, and the other beautiful thing is that nobody needs any training. It's good to have a leader who is familiar with the standard dream group technique that can hold the space and set boundaries around what's appropriate and what's not, because there is a format to this, and people can look into the work of Montag Ullman if they want to explore this more. But having all these different people project their own meanings, hey, if this were my dream, here's what it would mean to me. Some things aren't going to resonate, but some really are. And even the other members in the group get to benefit, even when they don't share their own dream. We're all sharing this experience of being human. So the people participating in the group, by hearing the other projections, will take home some things that apply to them and can help them look at their own lives in a new way as well. So I think it's an amazingly profound technique to use for dream exploration.
I so agree. And, what do you think is one of the most common misconceptions about dreams?
I think one of the biggest hang-ups people have is that they try to take the symbols literally. They say, I don't know why I dreamed about, that cowboy movie I saw. It must be just because I saw that cowboy movie. Well, 20 people might have seen that movie, and a lot of them might dream about some of the symbolism, but the stories are going to be unique to them, and the way that they use the symbolism is going to be unique to them. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, is they get stuck thinking with their linear mind rather than their creative, intuitive, and symbolic mind.
I do too, and I think one of the misconceptions that I often see and gives me pause is the idea that dreams don't really mean anything, that they're just firings from the brain when you're sleeping, and that they don't really have any true value other than a sleeping mind. And I think that dreams are really the way our inner workings, our inner mind, our inner self speak to us through signs and symbols. And if our brain is indeed the main computer for our body, it knows when there's something that's going wrong. And sometimes it can tell us, in a dream. It can show us a picture, or it can take us on an adventure where something happens. Maybe it's a health issue or a relationship issue. And when your relationships go bad, that really can affect your health. And so our computers, our minds, can show us this in our dream world, and that in turn can allow us to have a warning signal, and then we can start watching for that in our waking world. So I don't think that our dreams are ever just random shootings from a sleeping mind. I think they're really important. I think they're messages from inner self and sometimes beyond.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I think whoever came up with that theory must have been pretty disconnected from their own inner life. And maybe sometimes I think between the REM dreams, there might be some of that sort of, if I learn how to be a cashier that day, maybe I'm just going to kind of replay those moves. But I think those happen between the more story-like, vivid REM dreams. And those can be, with the precognitive or diagnostic information, they can be symbolic or they can be literal. Sometimes they're very literal, but sometimes they're more symbolic. And even people like psychic detectives that consult for the police, they often get their information in symbols and metaphors. So when people like you and I work with this on a regular basis, it's normal to us to look at things through that lens. But I think that's one of the disadvantages Western thinking has, is to only look at the literal. But I agree with you completely.
Yeah. So are you ready to help me do detective work on a dream that someone sent to me in an email for the show tonight?
I would love to.
Okay. This is, I told her I wouldn't use her name, so we're just going to call her Jean. And she wrote to me and said, a couple nights ago, I had a dream where I was standing at a stand-alone shop, talking to someone, when I walked up the hill to someone who had just called my name. As I reached the top, I heard her say, "Wow." And when I looked back, all the people that had been walking around in the building and outside the building were dead. Immediately, I looked up and I saw 3 sets of colorful, swirling lights. They weren't fireworks. They looked like stars. And then she says, I forgot to tell you. She says, the lights looked so beautiful. I said, look, I can see their spirits. And then the dream ended. So I found that rather fascinating. Yeah. You want to take a crack at it first?
Okay, so for the listeners, I am going to use the "if it were my dream" projection technique. So If it were my dream, I would feel like the shop represents something that I might be searching for, because shopping can be a bit of a searching mission. And she said she referred to it as a stand-alone shop. So I would wonder if I feel like I'm alone in my search for this thing. And then she goes uphill, which to me represents some kind of a challenge. You know, we say, oh, it's an uphill battle. It can represent something that we are trying to conquer. But at the top of the hill was somebody that called her name. So I would wonder if it were my dream, this might represent some kind of something that I'm feeling called to. And the person who called her name says, wow. So that just makes me feel like there's some validation in following that path. And the dead people outside the shop makes me wonder if there's some kind of ending happening regarding maybe the former self that was kind of on this search. Not that I'm not searching for goodness or enlightenment in my life anymore, but maybe this standing alone or this emptiness is coming to an end. And that transitions perfectly to the colorful lights, because to me those feel very spiritual. They're colorful. They're like stars. She said I can see them. Something about they're like spirits. So something about this transition from being alone to maybe being connected with the universe, and also an ending of, there's people dying, but then there's spirits. So some kind of connection to the afterlife and something greater than ourselves. Maybe it makes me think of the difference between our small human selves that feel separate and individual compared to our spiritual selves, which know that, love is the foundation of the universe and we really are connected to everything and everyone. So it's a really beautiful dream.
Well, we're going to talk about it some more as soon as we come back from a quick time apart. So don't go away. We'll be right back. You're listening to Dreaming Healing on DreamVisions7Radio.com, and I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas, a.k.a. Kat. When we come back, we will discuss this dream some more, and I will put in my little 2 cents. So don't go away.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burk. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Animal Connections with Laura Rowley is an intuitive show created for you to learn what it's like to talk to animals. Laura shares 20 years of experiences of being a pet psychic and healer every Friday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, media partner for the Omega Institute. Our beloved animals share our lives and have amazing insights into our well-being, providing us with opportunities for personal growth once we truly begin to listen. It's fun to use animal wisdom to enhance our emotional and spiritual world. Who better than our furry friends to teach us the wisdom born of unconditional love?
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming and Healing.